Now, the future of healthcare in America, amid all the concern about quality, availability, and affordability, what we can do as patients to make sure we have the best possible experience.
Joining us now is Dr. Paul Griner, a prominent physician and medical school professor. He has written a book entitled The Power of Patient Stories: Learning Moments in Medicine. It's a great collection of stories, poignant, amusing, and everything in between.
Dr. Griner, thank you for coming in. It seems as though your idea behind this book is that if we have a stronger doctor-patient relationship, then we're going to have better outcomes and we're going to save money.
No question. We need to have patients feel empowered to take control over their health care.
And you know, most people, as patients, they'll go in and they figure, well, the doctor, I'm not going to ask any questions because I don't want to sound stupid or, you know,
That's
this
like
kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, we need to change that mentality.
Yeah.
The patient has every reason and right to be listened to be heard, to develop a very close relationship with his or her physician.
And of course, that requires that the doctors also, some of whom have a reputation of being rather gruff and impatient with patients, to change their attitudes for dealing with patients.
Yes, and I've always said that for patients who find their relationship disappointing, if they're being put off, if the physician is not professional, go home, think about it, write a letter, and sleep on it, but then relook at it, send it off to the physician. It's surprising how often the doctor will gain new insights in reading a letter of that kind. I didn't realize the patients were feeling that way about me. So there are many ways to help move the association along.
But it is intimidating. I mean, I consider myself a pretty savvy person, but when I go to the doctor, I don't know, like Al said, sometimes I worry that what I'm going to ask, he's going to think is irrelevant or not a good question or...
No, think about the questions ahead of time. Do some reading. There are a number of resources on the internet that are quite helpful if you know what the problem is. The Mayo Clinic, for example, www.mayoclinic.com, Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, the Harvard Newsletter, any number of resources that can be helpful in preparing you for what you're going to talk about with your doctor.
Well, what do you do about the situation with a doctor and you come into the office and you're worried that the doctor is getting antsy and has to get on to the next patient? And what do you say to? I don't know if you have it in here, but do you have anything in there about how to be patient with the patients and in that regard, even though you're under pressure, you got all these patients waiting in the waiting room and that sort of thing?
Well, the good doctor will take the time necessary to hear you out, to hear your symptoms, and think through what the diagnostic process is instead of just writing out a set of requests for x-rays or laboratory tests. In fact, the British have shown that about 90% of all diagnoses of patients walking into their physician's office can be made at the time of the visit, just by listening and observing.
Over the course of your career, could you see the amount of time that you were spending with patients diminish, and did you feel as if it was getting to be more impersonal?
Well, I always have felt that the time I needed with the patient was what the patient needed. And so if I ran over, the patient is the center of the universe. It should be for the physician. Today we're just, we're moving too fast. We need to slow down and take advantage of the technology that exists, but at the same time recognize that patient care is a human endeavor.
But the pressures for everybody are going to get greater, aren't they? Because with this new healthcare system we have now, the Affordable Care Act starting to work, I guess, in some ways and not work in other ways. What do you think about the way we're going government-wise?
Well, if I'm on Medicare, for example, I love Medicare. Medicare is good for everyone over 65, yet you still hear people saying, I don't want the government to be involved in my health care, without recognizing that they already are in a major way. The question is how to have our cake and eat it too. How to take advantage of the opportunities that exist to have everyone be insured in ways that are not polarizing. I mean, the requirement that you be insured is an extraordinarily hot-button topic. Yet we have to remember that this was first raised by the conservative wing of our government 1994, 18 years ago, when the Clinton health plan came.
Yes, and you were asked to be an advisor on that, as I recall.
Yes, and that was dead in the water. This one was pushed through, I think, in a way that just helps to cause conflict and polarization. There are some really good elements to this plan.
Such as?
Well, one of them is that we need to, and this supports the direction of changing the way, fundamentally changing the way we pay for health services, the way we pay hospitals, the way we pay physicians.
And change how?
Well, currently, the more you do, the more you get paid. So the incentive is always to be doing more.
Yeah.
More tests.
Exactly. Much of which may be unnecessary, some of which may be quite dangerous with false positive tests. And the way things are moving, let's just say we want to see what it should be in 2020. What it will be, and it's going to take some time to get there, is we've changed the reimbursement system around so that physicians and hospitals will receive a fixed amount of money for the care of patients, and they have to live within that budget.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, there's a concept.
It is.
Have you told anybody about that?
Well, in fact,
besides us?
We had that in Rochester. We had an experimental payment program for the hospitals in Rochester, New York, for a period of 7 years.
That went well?
Worked out, was spectacular.
The hospitals loved it. Everybody loved it.
Dr. and President Clinton pointed to it as a way of thinking about the future of healthcare. So we need to get back and look at the big picture and not get so hung up on the minutia of individual elements of the Health Care Act.
Because doctors were more measured in the decisions that they made under that system?
They were.
Yeah.
And with hospitals didn't have to advertise. We got a paycheck every 2 weeks. It's 26 paychecks a year. You live within that budget.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Griner, thanks a lot, and I just want to commend your attention again to the power of patient stories, learning moments in medicine. Dr. Paul Griner, our guest. You're going to have a lot of fun reading this. A lot of great little anecdotes for doctors and patients and learning from each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like both doctors and patients should be reading.
Absolutely.
That's right.
That's great.